Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Daniel, and today in this video we'll be covering my final game in the Quebec Open Championships. At this point I am 4-8 in the tournament, and let's see if I can get a plus score. So I'm playing the black pieces, and let's take a look at what happened. So my opponent opens with d4, I go for my King's Indian. Slightly different move order you'll see here with bishop to e3 instead. I didn't think much about it, I played e5 anyway. d5, I go for a5, knight d7 or knight a6 to get into the c5 square to put some pressure here on e4. And here my opponent plays the move g4, which, in all honesty, before this game I had never seen this move before. So g4, the idea is pretty much to try to kill me on the king side via h4, h5, h6, queen d2, get on this diagonal and just try to kill me. However, here I continue with my plan. There is no immediate threat yet, so I'm not too worried. Better here is the move, so knight a6 is the correct move here, and then after g5, knight d7 is also correct. Here h4, and here I should have played the move f5. I considered this in the game, but I thought that I should probably not be pushing pawns where my opponent's trying to attack me, because then it opens up more lines for my opponent than for myself. So instead here I play knight d to c5, just transferring my knight over. Here h5 was played. Here I played bishop to d7, and here queen to d2. Queen to d2, I didn't really see too much venom here because the idea is probably to go bishop h6, but this situation here is already blocked unless I play g takes on h5, at which point you can open up this diagonal for the bishop, but as long as I kept everything blockaded, I thought I should be okay. Queen e7, bishop to f3, and here I play c6, which is actually a mistake. Correct here is actually to play a4, just take more space on the queen side, and that if white ever castles queen side, then I have maybe a3 ideas, knight b4, and my pieces can jump in really easily. So going back, alternatively here I play c6. I'm trying to maybe like strike on the queen side with b5 ideas, and if you take, maybe even take over the center. Over here castles, I play rook to d8. The idea here is if you take, and then after bishop to e6, or even if I take back, and after queen captures on d6, queen captures on d6, and rook captures on d6, I do have bishop to e6, for example, to target this pawn. And although this is still not as this still isn't good for black because of rook captures on c6, I do have ideas of like knight d3 check, and then maybe even take this pawn at some point. But alternatively, here I also have bishop to e6 simply to attack this pawn. If you take on b7, then after queen captures on b7, you're not getting to this pawn. If you play b3 to protect this pawn, then here I simply have a4 to break apart this queenside structure here. If you take, then I simply have rook d2, b8, and I'm basically pummeling through on the queen side here. You can't take here because queen to b2 would simply be checkmate. So in the game, c6, castles, rook to d8. Here my opponent plays knight g to e2. I play bishop to e8, takes, f takes. I'm trying to maintain some protection over the h7 pawn by moving my bishop out of the way at some point. Here rook h2, I play bishop f8, rook d to c1. Here I play rook to d7, bishop g4, rook c7, knight to g3, queen to d8, king to b1 is played to get out of the way simply, so that knight b4 has no venom really. And here rook to g7 I played in order to swing my rook back over so that I can maybe put my queen on c7, e7, and even bring my other rook into the game. Here f4 was played, trying to break open the situation on the king side. I take. If I don't take, by the way, there is f5 and then f6, which would really clamp down on my position. So takes, bishop takes. Here I play bishop d7, a very key move. My opponent's bishop goes back. Here it looks like that if you take on c6, you should be able to win this pawn. However, after b captures on c6, if you play bishop captures on d6, then I do have bishop captures on g4, winning a piece. And if you take here, then after queen takes, then this bishop and queen, they're attacking twice, but I do have a bishop and queen here defending. And here, if you play bishop to f3, which my opponent played, I played bishop to e7. And here, there is no captures, because after b captures on c6, it looks like you win a pawn. But if you play bishop captures on d6, I do have bishop captures on d6. And after queen captures on d6, here I have the move bishop to e6, getting out of the way and attacking this pawn, attacking the queen as well. If you play queen takes and rook takes and defend, then I always have the move a4 at some point. Or alternatively speaking, in this position, I do have the move rook to d3 to pretty much win a piece. So going back, here bishop e3 was played, and here after queen c7, I didn't actually see the knockout blow that my opponent had planned. But here after bishop d4, rook f7, here my opponent plays the stunning move rook captures on h7, and my opponent is breaking through. I have to take this rook, otherwise there is rook h8 mate. So takes, takes, queen h2 check, king g8, and here my opponent was very precise, played queen h6, threatening queen g7 checkmate, queen takes g6, etc. Here I play king f7, here queen g7, king e8, queen g8, and here actually at this point I thought I was escaping. Bishop f6 was the move I saw. I played bishop h3, getting out of the way so that queen captures on g6, I can be met with simply queen to f7, and at this point I would be winning because I would be able to win material. But however, here my opponent shocked me with the move knight to h5, and this is kind of like a cold shower move. Like, I didn't see this at all, and considering I have like 2 minutes left on the clock, after I saw this move, I was just completely done. The idea here is I can't take, because after bishop captures on h5, I am just lost on these diagonals here. If I play king d7, then there is queen to f7 check, followed by mate shortly. Let's say king c8, then queen e8. At this point, queen captures d8 is checkmate. So I can't actually take the knight. Here I play bishop back to e6, just a last-ditch effort. D captures, knight captures, queen takes, bishop blocks. And then at this point, after knight to g7 check, I resign the game, seeing as if I play king to d7, then simply queen to e6 would be checkmate, and I would end up losing the game. So this last game, I do end with a loss in this tournament, so I end the full tournament on 4 out of 9 points. However, this last game I'm not too mad about, because in fact I've never seen this opening, as I mentioned. So honestly, for me, at the time I thought this was just a learning experience. I can learn a new variation in the King's Indian events and expand my repertoire. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed that game. Even though I didn't win, my opponent did play a really nice attacking game. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching.